welcome to another edition of the Bones of Advertising. I'm still Craig McLeod. That makes you John Douglas. And today we've got some fun stuff to talk about. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well. I'm very well indeed. Very well indeed. How are you? How was your week?
Oh, look, we're still 5.0ing here. So it's been one of those weeks where I thoroughly enjoyed our podcast from last week, actually, to be completely honest with you. And it's kind of stayed with me for the full week.
I don't mean to boast or anything.
Gloat.
But I did notice that we recorded it last week, and we have very high production standards, as anyone who's a regular viewer of the podcast will be able to attest to. So it takes us a while to get from recording to actually putting it to air. But I noticed that Scott Morrison, after a little bit of a verbal critique from both of us last week, has come out and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it is a race."
It's a race, and I stuffed it up.
Yep. Yeah. Stumbled a bit at the start, but we're getting there.
I'd say old Scotty must be listening, mate. That's probably the thing we need to take away from that.
Actually, Scotty may not be listening, but there may be people that work for Scotty who are paying a little bit of extra attention.
So we better be careful. If there's a knock at the front door at home today, we better be careful. It might be someone coming to say, "Don't speak about the Prime Minister like that, you bloody naughty boys."
Naughty boys. But we're not here to talk about espionage or digital spyware or
hacking. None of that. We're here to talk today about some advertising, because this show is called The Bones of Advertising. Indeed. And I think, JD, we may be coming up to 50 or something episodes, maybe even more. We should look at that and work out how many we've actually done.
We're having a little celebration.
Yeah, sure.
Party popper. Now, I would like to congratulate the government, if I can, on their sterling work, absolutely sterling work in rolling out the NBN, because hasn't that been a success?
We having another episode like that where we're going to hang shit on bloody Scotty, because no, it hasn't been a success. It's been a bloody disaster. And on top of that, I don't think they've got any idea about advertising either. Would that be true?
I saw, I'll put the ad up here.
Let's put it up and we can continue to talk while you put it up. And
this is quite possibly, and I don't mean to shit can anybody or anyone's efforts or denigrate the capabilities of the people who are working on any bit of government business, because I know how hard it can be, but fuck me. I'm sorry, language warning, fuck me. What the hell is that?
That is what I would suggest when an engineer or a client of not a great deal of advertising marketing experience gets involved, and the poor creatives and art directors have had a fantastic idea, which may have been one of the three layers. But then when you stuff them all together and you put this fantastic line next to it, made for concurrently connected 4K crowds. Well, I'm a little confused, JD. You've been in the game a little longer than I, but can you decipher that for me? Because I've got no idea what they're trying to say.
No, there is absolutely. I mean, you drive past that at 60 kilometers an hour, and it becomes invisible. You stand at the bus stop, and I had to. And the reason I looked deeper into it is because we run a podcast dedicated to trying to make sense of advertising.
Yep.
I didn't even know who it was for.
First of all, right, because down the bottom in the left is the tiny little Australian amplification logo of NBN, which is another conversation. But down there, and you don't even know what it's for. Up the top is part of a PS4 controller. In the middle, I thought it was a phone. You told me it's a remote. And then below, I still don't know whether that's a tennis ball with a play button or something else. I don't know.
Yeah. What's a concurrently connected crowd?
Yeah, like no one's connected at the moment in Victoria, and you saw this in Victoria, didn't you? There's no crowd, full stop. So timing couldn't have been worse.
What is the purpose of the ad? Like every ad should have a purpose. What is the purpose of this ad? Makes no sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
No, they're not trying to establish, and it's because right from the very get-go, I have not had any kind of understanding about what the benefits of the NBN are. And I've had people knock on my door and say, I'm here to adjust your NBN to give you a free, NBN box or whatever. I was all right, well, come in, please, you look official. Like, I've got no idea. And,
Are you inviting NBN people into your home, really?
Yeah, well, they came. They said we're gonna send people around. They're gonna put in a little,
Did they offer to fix your roof and to put
actually,
down a driveway as well?
There's a different story, but we'll get past that. We'll get past that. That's still in front of the courts. I'm not allowed to discuss that. Anyway.
For the smartest bloke I know, let's just make a disclaimer here. We never let anyone from NBN into the home. That's just
no.
Don't let them into the house.
No, because then that's just the start. But so you've got this whole thing right from the start. They never tried to set up any kind of what's the brand asset, what's the purpose of the brand, what's the purpose of this communication, how does it fit in with any other communication? Like none of that. It's just like the commentary we made last week about the connectedness of the two COVID-related campaigns. There is no coherence. There doesn't seem to be any coherence with the NBN stuff, and it's not necessarily the fault of the people who are doing it at the moment, but there is still, I look at that and I don't get the feeling that the NBN is doing me any favors at all.
Yep. Completely agree. 100%. And look, I think we should just look at that ad and say, can't help you. No good. Let's just throw it in the trash and start again, because someone spent a bucket load of media on getting that out in these bus shelters as well. So someone spent not only, I don't know, $10 on getting the creative done, but then on top of that, they must have spent a boatload of sticking it in a bunch of bus shelters all over the place. So
yeah. I think the lesson we can learn from this is, if at any stage you are not a trained writer or art director, and you find yourself thinking late at night, oh, I could do that myself, don't.
And here's an example of why not.
Yeah. If you are the managing director of an advertising agency and you decide that you can art direct better than people who have had 5 years of training, don't
do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't
do it. Bad.
If you've got an engineer that is working for NBN who decides that they're going to come up with the idea and they've got the idea, don't let them. Don't. What sounds really good at 1 o'clock in the morning after 7 wines doesn't necessarily reveal itself to be all that pretty in the cold light of day. Yeah. Unlike, I have got, I've got 3 ads which just will, that's exactly correct. Here is a great use of a brand asset. And I know we're doing working from home, like that just seems to be the theme of the last 2 years. Every bloody ad is about working from home, and I'm getting just a bit bloody sick of them. This one made me smile. Where are we going? We're going Kit Kat?
Kit Kat. This one made me absolutely it's like, I get it. Thanks very much. I'm going to reward you for making me smile by going out and buying a Kit Kat. Yep. And I did. I went out, I got a Kit Kat, I came home and I went,
I love a cup of tea. I'm a Kit Kat fan, as you know. I'm a big fan. We've had this conversation.
You're the big finger fan. You're the fan of the big finger.
I like the big finger, but I did go back to the traditional after seeing this ad. So we'll put it up here and make sure the punters at home can get the gist of what we're going on about. But how good is that? Just from a simple point of view, home, office. No, let's just put a line through office. It's home.
Home. Just have a little break. Remind yourself where you are.
Right where you are.
Yeah, and it's a delightful kind of it just works in the moment, and then much like this podcast, you can just turn the page, and it doesn't matter anymore. It knows its place. Good on it. Good on it. Good on it for trying.
There's 3 things going on here. There's the red. There's the text with the finger and the brand. That's it. There's nothing else required. You don't need any more. That's what you call a perfectly set up brand and an excellent execution. Someone who's brave enough to go, all we need to say is home office, put a finger across office, and we have got a campaign that's going to make people smile and leave a cue in their mind when they walk down the chalky aisle and go, yeah, I'm having a break. I'm at home.
Take that home and I'm going to give work the finger.
I'm going to work the bird. I love it. Bloody good. And again, we love Kit Kat. Do you want to remember back, Johnny, to the ad over Christmas where there was just a bunch of blank space, like just air? There was nothing on the ad. Like,
it's glorious. Like,
who is the brave people putting out this kind of fabulous stuff?
Terrific. So good. But that's the reward for having established really good, really clean brand assets that you understand the power of. The people, when they look at the ad, instantly, like they get the message, you get a little reward, you go, oh, I get it, I can see the benefit to me. Like, here we go, let's go to Israel. Okay. The headlines in English, just to make it a bit easier for you: Apple family sharing. Now, they could have done anything here. They could have done anything, and what have they done? They've taken their logo and they've just gone, do you get it?
Let's get a second bite out of that apple, because there's two of you in that house. Maybe more. So good. Just simple. Yeah. Apple family sharing. Yep, let's do our traditional, but let's bite out the other side as well.
Yeah. So like that's the power of a great brand asset. And we don't, in Australia, to our shame, we don't seem to spend a lot of time establishing a brand asset can take years
and years.
Yeah. And so quite often, because chief marketing officers, the average lifespan is like, 3 seconds or whatever it is, 15 months, I think, or 18 months or something.
Yep.
And the need, like, you have to spend 3 years at least establishing a brand asset that actually starts to impact margin and profit, so you can start to then spend less and get more back. But because we are in Australia, particularly in Australia, there are exceptions, but particularly in Australia, we tend to go like financial year to financial year to financial year, like it's a sales cycle rather than a marketing cycle. But that's an argument for a different.
That's another podcast. That's another podcast where we touch on tactical versus brand. You've got to be able to understand the difference and the value in investing in brand. But I do love that one. That's a brilliant one, my friend. We're going to go Heinz next. You like?
I'd like to.
You and I love sauce. We love a hot dog. We love a hot dog.
And this is, if I'm not correct, this is one of your great impersonations, isn't it?
I absolutely.
How you doing?
I love him. Like, I love him. I still love him. I watch and let's play the ad so people have some kind of idea what I'm about to bang on about. But let's play the ad here.
Hot dog, please.
More mustard on that.
No, thanks. I got it covered.
Heinz tomato ketchup. The best things come to those who wait.
Again, like the simplicity, and I think you were saying earlier, JD, about taking a perceived negative and turning it into a positive.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So good. And this is pre-Friends, I believe. Is that right? This was.
Yeah, this is when he was when he was an up-and-coming, struggling, really, really, really ridiculously good-looking actor.
Yep.
Like, just trying to make it in Hollywood.
Yep. And Heinz, people are saying, it's too hard to get out of the bloody bottle, which is why they brought out the squeeze, upside down squeeze ketchup thing. I think that kind of followed on. But for me, when you have that, he's up on a New York building. I think it's New York.
Yeah. Looks New York.
Cap off, turns it over, and you just see this ever so slowly flowing sauce. Like, it's so slow. And it comes, he's down the stairs. He's dancing.
In slow motion. Over the stairs.
Just looking absolutely cool and fabulous. He gets to the bottom and he checks the young lady's top. Anything hit you? No, all good. Oh, hot dog, thanks. How good. Like, unbelievably good. So all of a sudden people are like, it's too fucking hard to get out of the bottle. You bang in the back of it. No, it's like that on purpose
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's rich and thick and good and full of tomatoes.
And full of tomatoes.
Full of
It's
tomatoes.
It's classic turning a negative into a positive. It's like Guinness, when Guinness do that, good things are worth waiting for, good things take time. Like there's a really lovely Gippsland yogurt, made slow to taste better. Like that's a great line, but it's
so good.
But it is that, like, it's exactly the same as the Guinness thing. It's like Guinness with the issue was, well, you've got to wait 5 minutes for the whole thing to settle. It's like, that's right.
And when you've waited that 5 minutes, you're 5 minutes more thirsty. So when you get on it, and the good thing, what Guinness should do is say you don't need dinner because it's like a meal.
Yeah, yes, it's like a meal in itself.
You can hold your knife and fork while you drink your beer and you've had it. It's all done.
Yeah. Yep.
Bloody brilliant.
I love that. It's 1980. That's 1980s, and so the production values
was 1980s, was it?
1980s. Yeah. So he's changed a little since then. He's obviously had a few hot dogs in his time.
I've got to say, it's possible if you don't get hold of things and sort of manage what's been going down the old gullet. You can end up in a little portly position, we might say.
I'm not going to say he's portly. I'm going to say he's a big star. That's what I'm going to say. He's a big star.
In my view, a legend of a man. I watched him. I was telling you before on that Friends reunion thing. There's so much charisma oozing out of that man. He is just pure.
Not just charisma. Like there's got to be a word that actually means like he's got like extra charisma, like charisma squared.
Yeah. So kind of like, Sean, like Sean. Like
Yeah. Like charisma. Yeah. Mizima. Like
I saw a picture of Pierce Brosnan the other day, and it was nothing but him sitting in a chair, legs folded, full beard, hair. He's just sitting there, and I'm just like, wow. That is a good wine. Just getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Cool as hell.
Yeah. There are some actors who haven't aged, quite as well. Steve Buscemi, for example.
Steve Buscemi, no, he is definitely not aged very well.
He's grown into a character actor's face, hasn't he? He's done very well.
He's great for voiceover now, Steve Buscemi.
But we digress. As we said, we're not a social commentary podcast. We're an advertising podcast. So
we are an advertising podcast, and you know what, my friend, we might call that on another edition of the Bones of Advertising. Thanks for your input today. Don't go change it.
I will not. You take care. Cheers.
See you next week.